In this lesson, I want to discuss the origin, insertion, and action of the triceps brachii. Now, we've seen the biceps brachii muscle, and we saw that on the anterior arm, and we're looking on the posterior arm. Just note that we can see here the scapula, and you guys note this is the posterior because we're looking at the scapular spine coming off here, so that gives you guys an idea of where we're sitting and what we're talking about. So you got to keep in mind that we have a posterior scapula here. Now, as we go to discuss the origin, insertion, and action, triceps brachii has the most complex origin because we have three heads. So you will see that it has an origin on the medial border here of the scapula, or here rather on the lateral border of the scapula and the axillary border. That you will see that we have two humeral origins, one higher up and one a little bit lower. And as we draw these, we can't really see the one here for the medial head. We can only see the two other heads when we talk about the triceps brachii. The lateral head we will see will go here. And then as we discuss the other such things, the long head will go here. And of course, this one would be the medial head. So as we try to discuss these muscles, it's pretty helpful to look at it that way. So now that we've seen the origins, and let's look at the insertion. The insertion is pretty simple. We come here to the olecranon process. So again, we have one head here, one head a little higher, and one just a little lower. The medial head here, the lateral head here, the long head here. And we try to get an idea of this muscle. Now, I'm going to use blue to draw this one in, and we just simply imagine one coming from here, and then you generally will only see one head of this muscle, because remember, this one's deeper. It's actually the lateral head, or the middle head will be sitting here, medial head, and so we actually won't get to see it when we try to color these guys in and draw them in. So because they are obscured by the muscle itself, so a rather crude coloring in, you guys can do a much better job on paper than I can on my iPad here. But this ought to be a really helpful exercise in understanding these muscle attachments. Now, I have drawn this a little larger than it may be in most human bodies. Most people aren't going to be that well developed, but this gives us a good idea. But as I said, there is a third head, which is more deep, that we cannot see. And just for simplicity's sake, I'm not going to draw it because you won't see it in terms of your on your models. You'll barely be able to make out small parts of the medial head there. So with that, we should be able to get a good idea of the attachments, the origins, and insertions of this muscle. Now remember, we're going to pull the insertion towards the origin. When we do this, it actually results, as we pull this guy towards, we're actually going to result in extension of the arm. So this is an extensor. We saw flexion. Now this is an extension. The triceps brachii muscle is an extensor. And this concludes my little video on origins, insertions, and actions of the triceps brachii muscle.